You're not gonna make it. No, you ain't gonna make it. You're not gonna make it, but you can. Welcome to You're Not Gonna Make It, the show where I discuss threats that may prevent you from making it. I'm Kevin. I changed the positioning of my mic, so hopefully it doesn't sound way worse. Anyway, have you done your 12 HIIT and Tabata exercises? Have you fasted for 19.8 hours? What phase are you in your keto/paleo /Atkins diet? Hopefully none of what I said applies to you, but the topic is weight loss overcomplication. As I just touched on, there are many, many, many ways to lose weight, but most of them are unnecessary because scientifically, the only way you lose weight is through a caloric deficit. How you get there? Tons of ways. Some people think, though, that you have to do all those ways at the same time. Like I said, weight loss is a mathematical equation. Your body burns calories at rest through basic things like breathing, and if you exercise, your body burns more calories at rest. To replenish those calories, you eat. So if the calories that come in are more than what your body burns through, you're going to retain that extra energy as excess body fat. Or if you're doing it properly, as some muscle too. It's about energy in versus energy out. That's all it is. But weight loss has become one of the most complicated things, period. So much so that people are trying to bypass the entire weight loss process by just going on some drugs. Because there's so much bullshit out there that they have no idea how to lose weight. I'm actually looking at a list of basically the most searched terms in regards to weight loss. There's some wild shit that comes up here. How can I lose 10 pounds in 3 days? There's no healthy way to do that. You can cut your head off, I guess. How do I lose weight in my thighs? What's the quickest way to lose 20 pounds? Same way you lose 1 pound. A caloric deficit. People still think that you can lose weight in specific areas of your body. That'll probably be next episode, actually. That topic of spot reduction. The point is, in general, weight loss is pretty simple, but people have made it so complicated that they just suffer from frustration, confusion, failure. The overcomplication has made it so most people just give up and just go on a fad diet, go on some drugs, do this fucking silly ass workout because they don't know what's going to work. They have no idea. So they'll just try whatever a fit person says to do, besides count calories, of course. I've had, when I was one personal trainer at Equinox and Blink, mostly Equinox though, I've had clients straight up say, I'm not counting calories. And their goal was weight loss. So I'm thinking, all right, well, this is going to end poorly, but I can't force them. So let's just ride it out, see what happens. Obviously, I tell them, hey, you kind of need to do this, or otherwise your results are going to be not guaranteed at all. Like, I don't care, I'm not counting calories. And just to let you know, about 100% of the clients who said they weren't going to count calories had a really tough time losing weight. And then they got upset and quit. So yeah, it's pretty important. The only exception to this was one female client of mine who did not want to count calories, but she wasn't fat to begin with. And she was really open to strength training. So she was essentially doing a body recomposition. She was just becoming stronger and leaner. But since she wasn't fat to begin with, her habits weren't destructive already. So that's something in her favor. If you've never counted calories in your entire life and you're not fat, you can probably get away with it because your overall habits aren't leaning towards, hedonistic gluttony. But I would still advise you keep track of that shit because knowledge is power. Part of this overcomplication, this complexity comes from, you guessed it, greed. The weight loss industry, whatever the fuck that means, thrives on people not understanding things being too complicated. So they can say, hey, don't think about it. Just buy my thing. I mean, I get it. Money is cool. Check the links in the description. But what I do is give you the answers for free. Literally, if you go to, my content, just listen to that. Honestly, you could lose weight for free. You can. Thing is, if you pay, you get someone on your ass about it. But what the majority of these people want to do is just say, hey, don't think about it. Don't try to understand weight loss. It's way too complicated. Just buy my super top tier hit program, my tea and lard diet routine. Go on my urine cleanse, whatever the fuck people are doing these days. They just don't want you to understand. There's like such a lack of people saying, hey, do you understand thermodynamics? Well, first of all, most people when they hear thermodynamics, they're thinking, never mind. I don't want to pay attention anymore. My point is, if people try to teach about the basic way weight loss works, and basically just, make sure your daily activity and your bodily functions overtake your intake of food, maybe described in a more child-friendly way, it would teach everyone much more easily how to control their weight loss. But that would mean they get less money. So they ain't going to do that. And what also plays into this is the impatience. People want quick fixes, and if they don't understand weight loss and someone says, hey, you can lose X in fucking a week, they'd be like, oh, yeah, let me try that, because they're desperate. They don't understand. So they can't understand that that's bullshit. Unless the X is 1 pound. You can definitely lose 1 pound in a week. This is a crazy stat, by the way. Apparently, 116 million Americans, of course Americans, find that losing weight feels just as miserable and terrible as being overweight. That is fucking insane, but also understandable, because losing weight is not very fun, especially at the beginning. Because you're doing stuff that you don't fully understand because it takes so long to see progress. So you're thinking, am I doing this correctly? I don't see progress that quickly. And I'm basically making myself miserable while still being fat. It sucks, I'll admit. But being overweight sucks, I don't know, quite a lot. I'll be honest with you. Now, because of the overcomplexity of weight loss, a lot of people, they do the yo-yo stuff, which is basically describing the number of pounds that you are. Your weight is going up and down, like a yo-yo. And I don't know if you know this, but your body doesn't like rapidly going up and down in weight. This happens because a lot of people are jumping from one thing that may or may not kind of work temporarily to another thing that may or may not kind of work temporarily. Their body fluctuates quite a lot instead of steadily, sustainably going in one direction for quite a while. Something interesting is that there are some people with medical conditions who are encouraged by their doctors to lose weight, which is a great idea because a lot of medical conditions stem from weight loss. I mean, from having way too much excess body weight. But apparently about half of them don't feel like their providers are actually giving them enough information to lose weight, which is totally fair. When I was a big fat kid and teenager, I was told by my doctors, yeah, you got to lose weight. But what did they tell me? I don't even remember what they told me. Maybe eat less or something. Okay, what the hell does less mean? You know what I mean? When you're a person who doesn't understand or thinks everything's too complicated, you think because of the ignorance of terms, you think, oh, low-fat food will make me less fat, right? That's how that works? No, it's not how that works. But you wouldn't know any better because no one's telling you shit. And again, some of the things that people try because they don't understand them, they just hop onto something, they lose weight, maybe, it works for a bit temporarily, but they don't have any idea how to maintain that weight loss long-term because they don't fully understand it. They just followed a thing. So they have no tools for maintenance, no mental tools to keep that weight off. So they fail, they get upset, and then they get fat again. And this sucks. I don't know if I brought this up before, but on this, I have a format that I go through for these episodes. And I'm trying out a new section right here called Devil's Advocate, which is basically me being in support, reading arguments in support of the topic that I'm saying is the reason you're not going to make it. Should I do a stupid voice for these arguments or what? I don't know. Complex approaches are necessary because weight loss is inherently complex due to individual metabolic differences. This metabolism argument is fucking stupid. When you get older, your metabolism does change a bit, but not by much. Honestly, the biggest gap would be about maybe 300 calories. Let's say between like a 30-something-year-old and a 60-year-old, something like that. It's not big, and it's oftentimes smaller. And by the way, you can increase your metabolism by being more active. So yeah, there are differences between people's metabolism, kind of, but you can control that. And by the way, these things in regards to age and activity are built in to the calorie calculators that you need to use to fucking lose weight. At the end of the day, still a caloric deficit. Obesity is a complex disease with many underlying factors and causes, not just a matter of willpower. I really hate that obesity is considered a disease. I feel like it's more like a side effect, but I guess technically it does cause other health issues, so maybe it counts as that. But I don't know. I don't label it as such. Yeah, it can have a lot of factors and causes, but all of which are are in control by you. Is that English? All of those are in your control. For example, a factor may be the environment you're in. Maybe you live with someone who cooks like complete dog shit and you're a child. You can't really control that. So yeah, that will factor into your obesity. For sure. But for people to say, actually, it's just in my genes, I can't lose weight. No, shut the fuck up, please. That's not a factor or cause. That's a really, really stale excuse. Next one. The move more, eat less oversimplification fails to consider the complexity of metabolism, set point weight, and hormonal impacts. I think this voice is kind of like a tame Jimmy from South Park, but I'm not trying to pretend to be handicapped here. It's just I don't know many accents, so fuck off. So move more, eat less is legit. That's all you need to know. Yes, that in itself is too simple, I will admit. But considering the complexity of metabolism, I don't know what the fuck set point weight is. I think that's the weight that you normally hover around based on your activity over years and your eating habits, assuming you're not constantly gaining weight and weight and weight. Hormonal impacts, I don't know how significant those are. But yeah, there can be some complexity in this. But the only thing that does is change the way that you approach the caloric deficit. Because, yeah, just eat less. You don't even need the move more part. It's just super helpful. All you need is the eat less part. You just need to find out, eat less, then what? Once you find that out, you are good. Different approaches work for different people. Some need... That stutter I did just now made me sound really insensitive. I'm not trying to sound like Jimmy from South Park, I promise. It's just, again, I don't know what else to do. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Different approaches work for different people. Some need structure and specific rules to succeed. This one's legit. Some people do need either specific rules, guidelines, accountability, something like that. Some people, they think, okay, yeah, I understand. You have a caloric deficit, you eat less than what your body needs, you will, shrink. But how the fuck do I implement that in my day-to-day life? I'm going to have to shop again. I'm going to have to maybe exercise. I'm going to have to count. Oh, God, how the fuck do I... I think it's frustrating. I can get behind this one. Like the structure and rules. Some people need that to flourish. Hell, I benefit a lot from that. Now, I do have a lot of flexibility in that these days because I truly, truly understand the process. But yeah, starting out, some people need, hey, if you go above this number in the caloric budget, you're fucked. Think about it that way. And some people will benefit a lot from that kind of mindset. I mean, long term, thinking that way might not be great. But hey, when you're trying to lose, 50 pounds or more, sometimes that shit's really helpful. Weight loss becomes more difficult with age in certain life stages like menopause, requiring more specialized approaches. It does become a bit more difficult with age due to what I said about the metabolism, but that's a very small change. Like I said, just a couple hundred calories of difference. And the activity will become tougher. If you're someone who's 60 years old and you basically never exercise and you start, it's going to be kind of rough. If you've exercised for decades up to that point, you can continue exercising. Now, you can't do the things you used to do necessarily. You probably can't squat 325 pounds, but you can still exercise. So, taking all that into account, it can be a bit more difficult, but I don't think it requires a more specialized approach. You still need to just eat fewer calories. Maybe a specialized approach into the activity level, into the activity that you want to take, sure. Maybe the foods that you want to eat as well. Maybe you're more sensitive now to certain things. I don't know. Apparently, tastes change with age. When I was a baby, I think I loved carrots, and then when I became a kid and teenager, I hated carrots, and now I love carrots again. Apparently, this kind of stuff is common, so I don't know. Maybe that'll affect you when you're old, but you still just need to eat less. So, God, this episode is gonna be so fucking long. Okay, let's get into some numbers. I'm gonna speed run some of these. There's a lot of fucking stats on this one. 90% of people fail to achieve their weight loss goals. Yeah, I believe that shit. Most people give up real quick. That's why. Most people don't understand the whole process. That's also why. 90%, I believe that, but that's sad as hell. You really gotta stop counting those New Year's resolutioners. I feel like that bumps up that percentage quite a lot. About half of US adults tried to lose weight in a recent study, a year-long study, and it looks like women are more likely than men to try to lose weight. About 56% for women to 41% for men. Makes total sense. And there's some assholes out there who say, oh man, the weight loss process is totally different for women. Fucking no, it's not. People say this shit and then women think it's more complicated than it is. And then, they could be taken advantage of much more easily, as per usual. And also the body image shit. It sucks it really sucks for women out there, honestly. When we're talking about weight loss and fitness, there's so much extra bullshit that they have to dodge. Among obese adults who try to lose weight, only 40% of them lose, about 5% of their body weight or more. Interesting. And just 20% lose about 10% of their body weight or more. That's awesome. I lost like 40% of my body weight or something like that. Nice. I'm in the top 20%. The percentage, this is sad as hell. The percentage of people who lose weight and successfully maintain that loss has been estimated to be as small as 1 to 3%. You know what? Yeah, that makes sense. When you think about pure percentages, that does make sense. That is very sad, but it does. It does track. 71% of Americans gained weight during COVID, with 63% stating that long-term maintenance was difficult during lockdown. I gained weight during COVID too, but not because of COVID, but because I moved across the country, and the situation I was in made it so that there's no fucking way I could track my calories properly because I wasn't the one cooking. And I wasn't making enough money to actually buy food my fucking self. It was a really fucked situation. But I didn't really get fat. I was working out like a motherfucker inside. And I was still, I was still using my years of experience to not eat an insane amount. And it helped that some of the stuff that was being prepared wasn't really to my liking. So it wasn't terrible, but I did gain some weight. Thankfully, some of it was muscle. Because when I went back to the gym after they opened, I didn't lose that much strength, to be honest. So that was great. But yeah, if activity was part of your overall routine, then having that sliced would change the caloric needs. So that makes sense that COVID would affect that like crazy. I don't know which countries are involved in this stat right here, but it's interesting to me. The UK, United Kingdom, had the greatest success with losing weight during the pandemic, 40% of people, while the US had the least success, 27% of people. I don't know which countries they're polling here. I'm assuming maybe developed countries. People who keep track of this shit. Makes sense that the US is at the bottom, as per usual. Some of the common barriers that people say prevent them from achieving weight loss include the high cost of healthy foods, which is not true. Actually, healthy foods if you cook, let me say that, if you cook, healthy foods are pretty cheap. You want to eat out and eat quote unquote healthy. Yeah, some of those cunty restaurants charge a lot. Oh, you want this fucking kale salad? It'll cost you $17. Fuck you. Another barrier is lack of time for physical activities, which is a separate problem. You don't need to do any physical activity whatsoever to lose weight, although you really, really, really should. Next barrier is calorie reduction. I don't know how the fuck that's a barrier. That's the process. I don't understand that shit at all. Maybe that part's hard for them. Maybe like actually keeping their calories down, eating less. Yeah, that's tough sometimes, honestly. I don't know if I call that a barrier though. It's kind of just having trouble with the process itself. But the process itself can't be the barrier. That doesn't make any sense. And the last barrier here is discouragement from slow progress. That actually makes sense. Like I said, this whole thing takes a while if you do it correctly. And if you're not keeping track, whether it's with pictures, measurements, anything, it's going to seem like nothing's happening for a fucking long time. And that can make you really upset and just think, oh, well, why am I trying? Like nothing's happening. So why bother, caring? Makes sense. But you gotta stick it out. As I often make the comparison, this is like an RPG in a game. You just have to grind. You have to kill those fucking monsters, grind for experience points, and you will eventually level up. But it's going to seem like you're doing the same shit over and over with no feedback, no progress whatsoever. But you are making progress though. When you are, grinding for experience points, the experience points are going up. It's just that you're not noticing because it's not hitting that threshold to get to the next level. Same with the weight loss. You are making that progress. You're losing that weight. It's just that on the scale, it's not saying, oh, you've lost 10 pounds already. But you are very slowly making that progress. So how do you deal with weight loss overcomplication? Just focus on the actual basics. Eat fewer calories than your body needs to maintain itself. Go to a calorie calculator, put your stuff in. Age, height, weight, activity, all that stuff. Read what it spits out as your maintenance amount. Then get a calorie tracking app to track your food and make sure you stay under that maintenance amount. That's it. It can be 100 calories under, although I wouldn't do that because, the margin for error is going to make it so that might not even be useful. I would say at least 300, maybe 500 calories under that maintenance amount. Do that every day for weeks, months. Take pictures every month or so, and you'll lose weight. That's it. Now, what I also recommend, and then this is ironic, me trying to add stuff to the to the simplicity of it, but I would recommend exercising, doing compound movements, full body stuff on the way down, because if you don't exercise while you're losing weight, you're going to lose a lot more than just body fat. You're going to lose some muscle too. You don't want that because you're going to look like a stick figure and also put your body in jeopardy because it has no fucking armor. If you don't think muscle is armor, try pushing don't try actually pushing an old person over, but just imagine that they fell over and they break something, right? Now I've fallen, not often because my balance isn't that fucking bad, but I've fallen. I'm like, I fell. But, I have muscle on me, so it kind of protects me from actually getting hurt. I bumped into tables before in my leg, my thick ass thighs. I'm like, that didn't feel great, but I'm not injured or anything. Muscle is organic armor. So I recommend you start building that on the way down to a healthier weight. If not, you're going to be just skin and bones. That's what skinny is, by the way. Just, you're not fat, you're not strong in any way whatsoever. You're very thin, you're lanky, you're scrawny. If you're thin, that just means you're not fat. If you're skinny, it means you've got really nothing. Also, what can help out with the overcomplication is just kind of planning ahead of time in terms of eating. If you're thinking, oh man, I don't want to track my calories every single meal, it's annoying as hell. Okay, try meal prepping. Cook a bunch of meals at once and track that immediately. Most calorie tracking apps let you track into the future too. So what I do sometimes is I cook a bunch of stuff, and that'll be my lunch or whatever for today, tomorrow, maybe the next day as well. Try to portion it out, into 2 or 3, whatever it is. And all the ingredients, I just cut them in half or cut them into thirds. There might be an easier way to do this, but whatever. You can count your calories per week instead of per day if this is too annoying. But what I do with that is after I separate that, I just put it in the tracking app for today, for the next day, and then the day after that. Then when it's tomorrow, I can just pull that meal out of the fridge. It's already tracked. I can just go eat. It feels great. So meal prep and track prep. It's awesome. What I also recommend is just taking pictures, because a lot of people, they get frustrated because they think, oh, this whole process is too insane, too slow, too complicated. Take pictures, take measurements, because that will be the proof that will shut you the hell up when you think, oh man, I'm not making progress. Shut the hell up. Check your picture from last month. If you're doing everything correctly, you will notice something. And most importantly, just remember this takes a while. This is not going to happen overnight unless you get lipo. It takes a while. So just be in it for the long haul. Just do the simple basics for a long time and you'll be okay. If you switch around to all this complicated shit because you don't understand the underlying process of weight loss, you're going to really, really, really not have a good time. It's going to take even longer. All right. If you don't want the gradual weight loss, just think it's going to be faster than if you fuck around for a bunch of years not understanding what you're doing. That will take longer. So choose your battles. It's going to be slow or it's going to be slower. What do you want? Probably slower, right? Leave a comment. What is the most complicated thing about weight loss you've ever heard? For me, it's probably those people who say, oh man, I have this condition, this condition, this condition, and I have to eat this particular way to lose weight. I'm thinking, all right, well, that's not true, but I hope you lose weight. Or the people who think, oh man, it's just genetic. My parents are really overweight. My family's just fat, so I'm going to be fat. This shit ain't genetic, man. Maybe the fat distribution will be similar genetically, but you don't have to be fat. I mean, when I was a fat teenager, most of my family is fairly thin. Nowadays, that's changing, unfortunately, but we were the oddballs. Emphasis on balls, not like testicles, like shaped like balls because we were fat. So it's not genetic. That's fucking wild. Anyway, I hope you make it, and I'll see you next time.